Well, once again, good morning, everybody. Jeff Slakey and Spencer Hughes here on the Daybreak Show. On the phone line is Troy Jasmin from Computer Creations Northwest. We know him. We love him. Troy, good morning to you.
Good morning. How are you?
Doing well. Spencer and I thought we'd have you on this morning to talk a little bit about what you're seeing out there in regards to scams, online scams, and ways folks are taking advantage of others during this coronavirus outbreak and pandemic that we're having. There has been an uptick in these types of things, emails, scam emails, all sorts of things. Is that right?
Yes, it has increased tenfold in the last couple months. The Federal Trade Commission is receiving tens of thousands of complaints a day of new scams. Is this real? This looked real. What do I do? They're filling out the online forms that basically are just overwhelming the FBI's website for online criminal scams and the FTC. We're seeing scams. As you all know, I'm also a volunteer over at the Sheriff's Office, so I deal a lot with our technical side and our online scams and our fraud programs that we teach. And both sides of the aisle is just overwhelmed right now. We're seeing charity scams where people are basically just fake charities are popping up online. They look extremely realistic. They're to help local hospitals, food banks, just about anything that you've seen that is in the disaster-ridden coronavirus area. And I'll put hashtags around that. It's just really overwhelming the amount of money that they're actually taking from people. The checks from the government system, that's been around for every time there's a disaster that comes out again, but that is popping up quite a bit with IRS. Everybody's seeing their stimulus checks are now starting to come in, but they're still preying on people over 65 with scams on that about how we can get you your check quicker, but we need a processing fee. Their FDIC banking scams are coming up now too, where they look like they're legitimate banks that will process your PPP for small businesses, and that is also incorrect. So you really want to work directly with your own bank or someone that you know. Go directly to if you're not sure about some of these banks, because there are banks that we're not familiar with that are on the legitimate list with the government for processing some of these claims, and they're new to us. And the scammers are hoping that you won't check up and see if they are on the approved list. The other one that we're seeing is a lot of emails on testing, vaccines, and treatment scams. The FTC's received a ton of complaints on this, including even our local state health department of people asking about, hey, I got this request for a home test kit and, I paid for it. I got it. Where does it go? Miracle cures, things like that. So it's really prevalent right now, and people have to be a lot more diligent in what they're seeing, what they're receiving. A lot of times it'll say it's from the state, or the Washington State Health Department. But if you put your mouse actually over the top of the email address or the website, you'll see it's coming from, a different, not a .com or a .org or a .gov, which realistically it should end in a .us or a .gov for most of them. But you're seeing that it's from an overseas address, or it's really scrambled. None of it makes sense because it's taking you to a fake server and a fake website where they're about to scam. So yeah, it is really prevalent. And then the last thing that I want to bring up is at the Sheriff's Office side, we put out a Be Aware of What You Share video. If you haven't seen it, we ask everybody to please go to the Mason County Sheriff's Office Facebook page. That's facebook.com/Mason CO Sheriff. There's a couple of videos on there, and of course we have daily updates about other scams as they pop up. We're putting on there, but be careful what you're sharing online about being gone from your home, what your crazy work schedule is, taking pictures inside your home. 360 views are really popular right now, but they are a shopping laundry list for people that want to take what you have that they don't. It's pretty easy to figure out where you're at and what you're doing. So anyways, that's what I've got this morning, unless you got some more questions.
Well, when it comes kind of to the banking information and the banking needs, phone calls, I would imagine, are probably, if you start to get an email from your financial institution, and even if it looks legitimate, would you encourage folks to call? Obviously, call volumes are high as people are trying to get in, so you may not get to someone right away, but rather than clicking on some sort of easy apply button or some sort of link that looks good, is it recommended to call your bank or financial institution first?
Absolutely. So what scammers are doing now is they're taking banks' monthly newsletters. They're signing up for legitimate accounts. They're getting a savings account, using legitimate information. Nobody knows the wiser, but they get those newsletters, which then gives them the complete format of exactly what it would look like, how it comes in, and then they replace those links, and then they start sending it out to people. And some people go, well, I don't even have a U.S. bank account. And they ignore it. Some people have one and they go, oh, look, there's a new update. And they'll click on that link because they think it came legitimately from their bank. So you have to be really diligent right now. If you're getting newsletters from your bank, if you're receiving emails, don't click on them. Call your facility, call your bank, call your credit union, and there may be a long wait, but it is well worth it because you could be scammed, or it's simply not. They may not scam you. They may actually end up putting something on your computer in which they can use your computer to scam other people. So try your best not to do that.
Oh, wow.
Troy, this really jades people. I got a call the other day. It was an automated. It came from like an 800 number. And it said, the federal government wants to help you with, and I almost hung up right away. We kept listening. They weren't asking us to input anything or asking for private information, and it turned out to be a legitimate call. But even someone like me who's, used to this stuff, you start listening and you're like, well, is this one real or not? And it's so unfortunate. It's maddening, actually, that they prey on people really in such a vulnerable position right now, because all of us are kind of on edge more than usual. We want to believe the best, but we're expecting the worst. And it really puts your head in a tailspin. This is something that anyone could fall prey to. It's usually kind of aimed at the elderly and maybe the very young and perhaps more gullible to these kinds of scams. But this sort of thing really hits at the heartstrings because there's so much information out there that it's so hard to tell the difference.
It is, and here's some kind of just terrible stats to have to share. But this was 2017 from the Federal Trade Commission. We're in 2020, and the scams have just doubled and tripled in just a few weeks. So 40% of the people between the ages of 20 and 29 in 2017 were actual victims of fraud, and 18% over the age of 70. But here's the kicker. 1 in 5 people lost money to imposter scams online last year in the United States. $328 million was reported stolen scams. That's $500 per person on average. Identity theft for credit card scams is up 23%. Around 46%. So it's shifting right now, and the people over the age of 80, they had an average of $1,092 stolen from them on average.
Wow.
So it's really disturbing that we're now in this pandemic and people are out there It just really angers me that people are out taking advantage of people of all ages right now. And the problem is like you said, there's so much information coming out from legitimate sources and scam sources, different news agencies every day of a new attack, a new fraud, a new information that's wrong. We're just getting overloaded. And now people they don't know what is right and what is wrong. So the only way to really truly know when it comes to a banking fraud or a check fraud or financial fraud or a charity fraud, you've got to call those locations directly, confirm the information directly with them, even if you have to stay online for a while or on hold. Just do it. It's not worth what could be the outcome.
People taking advantage for sure. Troy Jasmin on the phone line with us, giving us some tips to keep our minds aware of in this time from Computer Creations Northwest. You can find him on Facebook. We'll put the links to that for him as well here. Troy, thank you for talking with us this morning. Stay safe, stay healthy. And when more of these pieces of note come down the pike, let's get you back on the line. How's that sound?
Sounds great. And thank you guys for everything you're doing for the community too. It is outstanding, the reporting that you're putting out on a daily basis to help all of us as well. Thanks. So kudos to both of you guys.
No, thank you very much.